Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Baron and this is your Brain on Books. I recently put up a community poll on what video you guys want to see me make next, and my summer TBR won by a huge margin. So we're going to do that today. But aside from the books that I wrote down, the ones that I want to get to, I want you guys to pick a book for me. So I'm going to have some details about that at the end of the video, but I think it's going to be something kind of different and fun that I'm a little bit excited about. So stay tuned for that. So without further ado, let's just get into it with the first book or books being the Prince of Nothing trilogy by R. Scott Baker. Now, I've already started The Darkness That Comes Before, and I'm about halfway through it right now. And I gotta say, I am really impressed by Baker's writing style. It is poetic, it's full of tone, it's everything I appreciate, not just in fantasy, but in literature in general. And I can't wait to not only finish this book, but pick up books 2 and 3. I can tell this first one is very foundational, so I'm sure there's going to be some great things to come later. Now, I came across these books in kind of a strange way. I bought the hardcovers a while ago from a used bookstore. I just kind of saw them there cheap. I've heard of the series just on a whim. I thought, hey, maybe I'll read these at some point, but I wasn't really sure. But in a period of frustration reading Malazan, I wanted to see another author's approach at kind of that complex and thematically dense fantasy. And I've seen some comparisons between the series amongst the fan bases. And I said, you know, I'm going to pick this up. Let me just read the prologue. And I was hooked, immediately hooked. I ended up shelving Malazan for the time being to read this series. So I just can't wait to see where it ends up over time. So if you've read Prince of Nothing and you have some opinions, let me know down below. Also, just how you think it relates to Malazan. I'd be curious to get some more input on that. So moving on, the next book I have is Streets of Laredo, or LAREDO if you're in Texas, by Larry McMurtry. Now, this is the second book in the Lonesome Dove Quartet. We did a buddy read on the channel Discord in December of last year for Lonesome Dove, and it was universally liked. Everybody really loved this book. I did a review for it. If you're interested, I'll leave the link in the description and all that stuff. But I'm just excited to see where this story goes. It left off in a bit of a cliffhanger, you could say. I mean, it was a complete and concise story, but it definitely left the story open for more. There was an adventure still to be had, and I want to see how that unfolds going forward. If you've read Lonesome Dove, you're interested in reading the next book, I'll leave the channel Discord link below. Come join us. It's the same group that we had on the first buddy read, and everybody's just super cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's open to anybody. So the more the merrier on that. So moving forward, I have Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. Now, it might seem like a cheat with summer being in the name, but this is a book I've wanted to try for a while, and I think the timing is right. This is the first book in his Seasons of Horror series. And one subgenre of horror fiction that I absolutely love, like my absolute favorite, is the supernatural coming-of-age story. And this is considered one of the greats, but one of the only ones I haven't read yet. You know, I've done Something Wicked This Way Comes and Boy's Life and It, and I love those stories. So this is the next obvious one to pick up. You know, kids on summer vacation, riding their bikes, just running around, fighting evil entities and supernatural beings and all this. I just love that stuff. I can't get enough of it. So I can't wait to get Summer of Night either. This is going to be a good one. Although I've had a little bit of a difficult time with some recent Dan Simmons books, so that has me slightly nervous, but I think the premise enough should carry my interest despite some of the issues I've had with his writing. All right, so the next one is another channel buddy read that we're going to pick up in August, and this is Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Man, I have not heard anybody say anything bad about this book. I just hear it is like the greatest historical fiction of all time, and I've known that for a while. I've owned it for a while, but I haven't picked it up just based on the scope and size of the book. I know this is going to be a commitment to get through this tome, but I think this is perfect. I don't know why it feels fitting for summer for me, but it just does, and I can't wait to be just whisked away into this historical setting, which I believe this is in 12th century Europe. I could be wrong about that, but it's going to be a good time. So if you have been like me and you're putting this book off and you want to read it with us, once again, join us on Discord. The more the merrier. All right, moving on from there, I have some literary fiction. The first one being The Orchard Keeper by Cormac McCarthy. Now, if you've watched any of my recent videos, you know I've kind of been on a big kick with Cormac McCarthy, going through all of his books. And I think I've read about 5 now, so I have a ways to go still. And The Orchard Keeper was his first published novel. Now, I've heard since it's his first one, it's not really the strongest. But one thing I can say with McCarthy is his early writing style is very different than his later work. The early stuff is very flowery and purple prose and all that kind of stuff, which I enjoy. And this book seems somewhat short. I have no idea what it's about at all. I don't care. McCarthy is an author that I love, I trust. I will read anything the man writes, period. So this is the next one on the list. So going on from there, I have Beloved by Toni Morrison. Another book that I have wanted to read for so long and just haven't, but I feel the timing is right. And I've been talking to some other people, other content creators online, and they've been singing this book's praise, saying it's not only good, but it's a book that's going to, you know, stick with you for years. You will remember lines from this story for years, and that has me excited. I know it's won a lot of awards. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this book. I know it's banned from certain schools and in certain states, etc., etc. I don't know why. I don't have any clue what the context around that is, but it has me even more interested to read it, other than the fact that people just say it's a really good book. So I'll be getting to that pretty soon. I'd actually like to slot that in at the end of June if I can. We'll see how things shake out, but it's going to happen pretty soon. Next on the list, I have Pachinko. This book seems somewhat out of my comfort zone, or I would say it's at least a subject matter I'm not very familiar with. But it's a National Book Award finalist, which is already a great sign. But I saw Nate from Big Nate's Book Reviews do a review on this, and he got me just really hyped and sold on this. And, you know, I know it's a multi-generational historical fiction story. It's, you know, an Asian setting, and I hear it's just very poignant and well written, and it just seems like something that I will just really like in the end if I pull myself out of the typical Western settings that I'm so familiar with. So I'll be getting to that soon. This will probably be at the later end of the summer, probably around August. Maybe it'll be a nice change of setting to reading Pillars of the Earth, but we'll see. Either way, it's happening soon. So if you read that book, let me know what you think, because I'm a little bit lost on what the premise is, and I'm trying to stay away from that as much as possible. I've come to appreciate going into books without a whole lot of details other than just kind of knowing the reputation of the book, who likes it, you know, similar taste amongst people, and kind of steer my way through that way. So it's going to be a good one. So the last buddy read for the channel I have is Perdido Street Station, and we're actually going to read this next month. I originally wanted to read this book with Amanda from Shelf Unstable, and she's going to be joining me, but once we started talking about it, a bunch of other people kind of just jumped in, and it turned into a full read along, and it should be pretty cool. I don't know a lot about this book either. I just know it's supposed to have kind of an eccentric writing style, which I hear is divisive, and it's supposed to be weird, and I like weird. The weirder the better, really. So that alone just has me interested, kind of judging a book by its cover. I think it should be an interesting experience. The only thing that has me a little bit scared is just the fact that the writing style has been said to be kind of unique and eccentric, because I'm a little bit of a stickler when it comes to writing style, so hopefully it doesn't put me off too much. But I'm reading it with some really cool people, and I'm sure that alone should keep it exciting overall. So that's it. That's all I had on my list. And I mentioned before, I want you guys to pick a book for me. So this is how this is going to work. I want you to leave a comment below with a book recommendation. It just has to be fiction. Other than that, I don't care. It can be any genre, any author, doesn't matter at all. And I'm gonna leave it open until the end of the month. At that point, I'm just gonna grab a random comment, I'll drop them all on a wheel. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, and I'll just pick it up. The only thing is, if you recommend a book I've already read, I'll just add a comment, let you know you can pick a new book, and we'll just go from there. So I've seen other booktubers do this, some, with patrons and stuff like that. And I think it's just a cool idea. It's fun. It's a little intimidating because I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but nonetheless, it's got me excited. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, see ya.